I've tried countless ways that are proven to improve your mindset for the better. Now, not all of them worked, but there definitely are a few that I still do to this day and will do for the rest of my life. So that's why I put together a tier list of the best ways to improve your mindset for the better. Some of these things are very well known, and others I don't think anyone has heard about. But let's face it, some of the things on the internet are just a complete waste of time or only for a select few. So how do you even know if I'm credible? Well, I've spent the past 2 years learning, analyzing, and implementing strategies that you can use to not only change your life, but to change your mind. And I'm not gonna waste any of your time, so let's get right into it. So one thing I do wanna mention before we get started is that this is all my personal opinion. So if I put something on this list and I say it's a waste of time, but it actually works for you, then absolutely continue with it. Just use this video as a reference or guidance. So let's get right into the first one, which is actually isolating yourself. This is also referred to as locking in, but it's basically you sit down and you privately develop on your own. You don't hang out, you don't party, you don't use social media. It's just you alone focusing. Now, it is great for those first stages of trying to develop yourself or just needing a reset. Say you indulged back into your negative habits, then this is a great thing you can do to just focus up and do the things that you know you need to get done. The thing about this is you should only do it for about 3 to 6 months, because if you do this for maybe 4 years, your whole life, yes, you can see tremendous progress, but you might start to plateau, because another stage in developing yourself is networking with like-minded people. So if you stay isolated and talking to no one, basically going ghost for your whole life, then you might end up be forgotten. So just do it for like a short period of time and then come back a different person. But one mistake that I actually see a ton of people do is they focus up and develop privately for, a certain period of time, and then they go back to the same negative environment, the same negative people. And this is actually hurting them. It results to them staying in the same spot that they were their whole life, or even worse, because they're aware they can do better, but they just aren't. So an easy way to break this cycle is to create new normals. It's a thing I mention a lot, but it's basically you develop privately, grind, see progress, and you adapt. Now, when you go into another isolating yourself session, then that's where you progress even more. And basically, you progress, adapt, and that goes on until you see tremendous progress, which, if you do this, you will. So for that, I'm going to put it in good, because it's not completely life-changing. Yes, you can see tremendous progress, but if you want to see even more progress than that, you have to go out and network with like-minded people. I just realized I said a lot on that one. Not everyone's going to be this detailed. So now we can move on to the next one, which is deep work. This is also known as flow work. It's basically productively getting work done without any distractions. Personally, I feel this is the best way to see progress, because it's something you do in the isolation phase, but this is where you can do it freely. So flow state is a state of mind where you are just optimized for productivity. You don't think about the time, you only focus on the task at hand. Nothing's distracting you. And with this, you are fully involved in your work. What could take someone 1 week could take you 3 hours. Now, how do you do this, you may ask? First of all, you have to optimize your environment. Make sure things are placed for peak productivity. Make sure your phone's not on your desk. Put it in a different room. Maybe close all the tabs on your desktop. Just do what you can to focus on the task at hand. Now, this is a great habit to get into because it transfers into other tasks. Say you're going to the gym, you would want to achieve peak flow while you're lifting weights, to maximize progress. This also transfers into conversations. When you're talking to someone, you won't be constantly overthinking, constantly thinking of what next to say. This will actually make you a better person at speaking and listening. So for that, I'm going to put it into life changing, because I would not be able to see myself doing work any other way. And there's just all benefits. For the next thing, it's kind of similar. It's working too much. Now, I understand why people would think this is a good thing. You would want to work as much as possible because more input means more output. So more work equals more progress. That's true, but you actually do less work trying to do more work. Let me explain. You have to have a good balance. You have to work a healthy amount to where it's good for you and actually fuels you rather than grinding on work just to get the work done. So when you have a good balance of work and life, you're able to perform at your best and produce quality work because you yourself are healthy and physically and mentally. But if you were to work every waking hour, neglecting your health, not eating, sitting down on a screen every day, you can burn out fast and get super demotivated. So you work your butt off for a whole week. You're grinding, putting 20 hours a day into your work. But soon enough, you are going to burn out, get demotivated, and see less progress than if you were to work a healthy amount. Because when you work healthily, you can work at your peak performance and stay more consistent while also having fulfillment, which will just fuel you even more. So yeah, it's good to work, but only an amount that is healthy for you. So I'm going to put it into a waste of time because if constantly grinding, you can burn out, get demotivated, all that. Let's move into something that I did about a year ago that just made me progress like never before. And this was creating an ideal you right here. It's basically where you change the way you behave and act according to what you think your future self will be. Now, it is a great visualization technique that many successful people use and I myself use. About a year ago, I envisioned what I'll look like, how I'll act, and what I'll have. Now, not everything is exactly how I predicted it to be, but how I envisioned it is pretty similar. For example, when I wrote down I wanted to be 150 pounds, back then I was like 130, 135, I'd say if I'm 150 pounds gaining weight, then I eat 4 meals a day. So that's what I did. And eventually I became that person. This was also for work. I envisioned myself to have a decent following on YouTube, and I had to think, what would my future self do to have that following? Well, put more hours, put more work and more quality into my videos. And that's exactly what I did, and here I am in this spot. Now, something that happens when people create this ideal version of themselves, they get obsessed with it. And when they don't become it in the period they set, then they become discouraged and just straight up quit. Now, this can be life-changing if you use it in the right way. But since, some people do get discouraged, I'm going to put it into the good category. All right, now we are going to move on to the gym. Now, with this one, all the benefits are good. I mean, you'd probably know. If you're watching this video, you understand that the gym allows you to create an unbreakable mindset. When you push past failure, your body will adapt and you'll just progress. This will change your mindset to be mentally tough and mentally strong. And your body will look good and it'll be strong. Once you start going to the gym, there's literally no way going back. The gym not only trains your mind physically, but it trains it mentally. And like deep work, this transfers into other activities and challenges that get in your way. This is also related to stepping out of your comfort zone. Because when you go on that run, or you do that pull-up, or you do that rep, every time you're expanding your comfort zone, doing something uncomfortable. Now that's another topic I'll probably go over later in this video, or a part 2 to this video. And because everything is beneficial, I'm just going to put it in the life-changing category. The next thing is watching self-improvement content, like this video and many other videos out there. Now, it's super beneficial. It's how you can gain knowledge and learn on the tasks that actually improve you. This is how I discovered the whole concept of self-improvement and what inspired me to start my own YouTube channel. I watched people like Hamza and Cole, and they really inspired me and motivated me while also teaching me and mentoring me on things I can do to improve myself. But there's a mistake with this. I see so many people watch self-improvement content just like this, and they never take action. It's a sort of cheap dopamine. They're consuming all of this knowledge, all of these things, and they think that they're making progress when they're really not. Progress happens when you take action. Now, I'm not saying completely avoid it because, it's beneficial. You gain so much, and I have learned so much. But I'm just saying you have to try to avoid the mindless consumption of it and really look at it from an analytical perspective. Really take the actionable steps that they say. But you also have to take it into account into your current situation, because not everything works for one person. Some things are one size fit all. So that's why you should take this video into consideration and look at different perspectives. So for this reason, I'm going to be putting it into good. It can be life changing if you take action. So maybe I should put it right in the middle, Yeah, I'll keep it in good, It can be life changing if you, like I said, take action. But, it's honestly great for gaining knowledge. Now, the next thing is a dopamine detox. There's so many people mentioning this, But if you don't know what it is, it's basically you cut out all the cheap dopamine. Things like social media, news, junk food, and things that are overall negative for you and your mindset. It allows you to embrace the delayed gratification, along with other things, like the gym and meditation. But this one really allows you to stay consistent on your goals while also avoiding distractions. I feel like this is a necessity if you want to do anything else and progress. You can't meditate if you have your phone sitting there. You can't really see progress in your physique if you're eating crap food. And it's really hard to isolate yourself if you have your phone and keep texting people. So because of that, I'm going to be putting it in life-changing. This might be the first necessity step that you have to take to really reinvent your life. Now, the next thing is listening to motivation. Things like David Goggins or podcasts. Now, I'm primarily going to focus on the more music side of things, but it gives you short-term gratification, which if you didn't really pick up on, it's negative. But yeah, it does help in some situations. Say you got to hit a PR or go on a really long sprint. It's really good for pushing through. And don't get me wrong, I love listening to David Goggins over some cool beat, but I'll admit it can get addicting. And I bet you can agree. It starts to become numbing and doesn't give you that pleasure it always does. And without little thought, you put it on constantly and it's casually just going in your head. So be mindful, be aware of what is going inside your head and how you're perceiving it. Now, yes, some of this is good, but because it can become an addiction and is kind of short-term motivation and doesn't really help you push through discipline, I'm going to be putting it in could be better. All right, so for our final three, we'll go over it. We got reading. So reading is a really great one for gaining knowledge. And I think it's a little bit better than watching videos because it's something physical in your hand. And you actually expand your vocabulary and your conversational skills. It's also a great thing to wind down before bed. I constantly, every single night, read a book. Now, yes, there are a few nights where I miss it, but this has allowed me to learn so much and completely reinvent my perspective on life and the way I think and the way I act. So because it influenced my whole life, I'm going to be putting it into life-changing. Now, the next one is meditation or practicing mindfulness. I got into this way back and I really started embracing it like a year and a half ago, because I was stressed out. Now recently I kind of died down a little bit on it. The main reason is because of my whole idealization and focusing on your priorities. Because if you're stressed out, yes, it's great to go and meditate. But if you're not stressed out and you have other things you could be doing, then you should be focusing on that. So it's going to go into the good category because it's great, don't get me wrong, and it can help you achieve that flow state and just remain calm throughout the day. But if you're just mindlessly doing this for an hour straight when you could be focusing on something else, it might be a little bit of waste of time. Now for the last and final thing is journaling. Now the reason why I save this one for last is because I think it's the ultimate form of everything combined. It's an easy way to let out your thoughts and can be an alternative for meditation kind of. But this was one of the things that I originally started when I first started my self-development journey. And I still do it to this day. Had to go grab them. I have a ton of, journals and guided journals on basically everything self-development. One that I really started to get into was Welcome Hustler. Now this is a empowerment journal, not sponsored or anything, but honestly, it's just a great kind of starting point. It allows you to envision your goals and even help you create that ideal version of yourself. Some journals I do recommend is a bullet point journal, so you can do maybe little sketches. And this was my original one. I filled up all the pages. It says April 2022, so decent long time ago, some wear and tear. But this has actually allowed me to take all my thoughts out of my head, feel relieved from stress, and become the person I always wanted to be. So for that, it's going into life changing. And here is the final list. Let me know if you wanted me to make any changes or anything that actually helps you and needs a higher category than life changing. If you want a part 2, then you can leave that in the comments below. And lastly, I think this video will help you even more.